In this video, we are going to create two virtual network and pair them. I am on the Azure portal. To create virtual network, let's go to the virtual network. Let's click on the virtual network, create. We select the subscription, we select the resource group, we name the virtual network. Let's say we call this one as a hub vnet. Let's place this network in the Australia East region. Let's go to the next screen. Let's not select anything. This is for the advanced user. Let's go ahead and assign the CIDR. We choose the CIDR, the same CIDR, I think in this case, but what we can do, we can reduce to, let's say 20 rather than like a 16. By default, Azure give you one subnet called default, but let's go ahead and delete this subnet. What is that we're going to do? We're going to add our own subnet. Okay. So here Azure also gives you some template, right? These are the kind of subnet that has to be there when you're deploying those specific services. So in our case, we think that let's say we deploying the Azure Bastion, and you select that particular subnet purpose, Azure Bastion, and automatically the name of the subnet would be Azure Bastion subnet, right? Which something you can't change. Then include an IPv4 address space. I think this is the address space. How many address that we want out of this particular space? We're saying that we just want, let's say 26, right? And leave rest of the things as it is. Because again, it's a different consideration, different things. We just testing in this particular case how to create the VNet. But if you are more interested to learn about these things, then I have a secure Azure networking course on the Udemy, and you can get to the details. I cover up all these things there in that particular course actually. So in this particular course, we are just focusing on creating the VNet and subnet. So let's pick up that. Let's say add. At the same time, what is that we're going to do? We are going to add one more, but which is not a template. In this particular case, we can call it as a we can call it as here. This is a hub one. Hub, the kind of workload, if you're putting anything there, let's ensure that it is 256. That means /24. Let's again leave everything as it is, Then next tag, if you want to tag it, we don't want to tag it here. Let's go ahead and create. All right. So we just created one virtual network. It's very quick. It doesn't take a lot of time. But what is essential when you create a network is basically you deciding on your CIDR range, Deployment succeeded. Let's make sure that we see that hub VNet. You can see that hub VNet. Let's go ahead again to the virtual network. And what is that we're going to do? We're going to create another virtual network. All right. So, and we call that particular virtual network as spoke VNet. Okay, let's put that in the Australia East again, in the same resource group. Let's not select anything there. Here, I think what is essential to understand, we just want to make sure that it is not a conflicting CIDR, right? So we choose something like this 0.0, and we take that again 20, right? Let's make sure that we delete this. We add a new subnet again, and we just going to add one subnet called workload subnet, right? Doesn't matter, we're not testing anything here related to the subnet. All right, so we just go ahead and say review and create. We don't need to add anything else in this particular case actually. So it's again going to take a half a minute, almost like is succeeded. Let's go there. Okay, and we can go back to our virtual network, and now you can see that now you got a hub VNet and spoke VNet. I think I miss a V here while typing, but it's a hub VNet and spoke VNet. That doesn't matter in demos. All good. Now what is that we're going to do? We're going to create a kind of peering. How do you do that? You select a hub VNet, and this is where you connect both the virtual network. You can say that something from hub peer to spoke, right? and this is where you can select the virtual network. That's the spoke virtual network, and these are the thing that you might want to select based on how you setting up the networking construct, right? I'm just going ahead and selecting both of them, and then here you can say we call this a peer to spoke, and here we call it as peer to hub, right? You have to give the name to both the peering, and just say add. Right now these two networks are connected on the Azure backbone. Okay, you don't need to implement any other thing, and you can see that immediately we got a message saying that fully synchronized, to the remote virtual network. So if you now deploy any kind of resources in both of them, you should be in a position to talk to various workload within that particular network, actually on the Azure backbone. Now in reality things are not such simple things. When you work within the industry, firewall comes in picture, route table comes in picture, energy comes in picture, but that is not the focus in this particular course, as I said, right? All those things are covered in the networking course on the Udemy itself, and my suggestion would be refer that particular course if you want to deep dive in the Azure networking. All right, that is what the virtual network creation and peering looks like. That's all.